CNN's reporter was detained on live television. A British Army veteran was shot in the head. And an Australian journalist was targeted mid-broadcast. In 3 days, police attacked 27 journalists on American soil. So they finally did it. They turned American streets into a war zone, not to protect citizens, but to silence the journalists documenting their crimes. Los Angeles, what started as immigration raids quickly morphed into something far more sinister, a systematic assault on the free press that would make any dictator blush. And before the MAGA faithful start screeching about fake news, let me make this crystal clear. This isn't speculation, this is documented fact. At least 31 attacks on journalists, 27 by law enforcement, on American soil, by American forces, in broad fucking daylight.
Wait 1 second, John, hold on, I want to, Jason, what's going on? I hear you. Am I seeing Jason Carroll being, what happened, Jason?
What's happening? I'll tell you what's happening. CNN's Jason Carroll is being detained live on national television for the crime of journalism.
I am being detained. Laura. I'm not being arrested. Correct, officers?
Did you hear what he told you?
No.
We're letting you go, but you can't come back.
Okay.
Because then if you come back, then you go.
You can't come back. Think about that. A credentialed journalist doing his constitutionally protected job being forcibly removed from a public area by police who are supposedly there to protect and serve. But Carroll got off easy. At least he could walk away.
Got shot in the head.
Toby Canham, a New York Post photographer, wasn't so lucky. The 59-year-old veteran, who served in the British Army by the way, was filming from above the 101 freeway when a California highway patrol officer decided his camera looked like a target. The rubber bullet hit him square in the forehead from 100 yards away. As Canham himself put it, "Where I was hit, I was the only person overlooking the freeway. I wasn't surrounded, so I was an easy target." An easy target? Bro, what the hell? A journalist, clearly identifiable, standing alone, posing no threat, and a police officer took aim and fired. But the most damning evidence? Lauren Tomasi, an Australian reporter doing a live shot for 9 News. Watch this carefully.
Firing rubber bullets at protesters, moving them on through the heart of LA.
That's not crossfire, that's not an accident. That's a police officer raising his weapon and deliberately shooting a journalist on live television while she's holding a microphone and reporting. He shoots her from behind, by the way. Just picks up his gun, shoots her. She's not even looking at him. The Australian government called it what it is. Well done, Australia. Targeted.
It is not unreasonable to think that she would not have been targeted with a rubber bullet.
You said targeted. Was that how it was raised by the Australian government, that she was seemingly targeted by police?
Well, she was clearly identified.
Prime Minister Albanese described the footage as horrific and raised it directly with the Trump administration.
That footage was horrific. We have already raised these issues with the US administration.
My goodness, USA. You know democracy is in trouble when other democratic nations are looking at America and saying, what the fuck are you doing to your journalists? The numbers are staggering. According to Reports Without Borders, there were 31 attacks on journalists in just 3 days. 27 of those attacks were by law enforcement. Let me repeat that again. 27 attacks on journalists by the very people sworn to uphold the Constitution. Nick Stern, a British photographer, needed emergency surgery after a plastic bullet tore through his thigh.
When I'm photographing protests, I always make it as obvious as possible that I'm a journalist. I wear my press card around my neck on a lanyard. I carry a large camera.
Sergio Olmos, a veteran journalist who's covered hundreds of protests, said it best. "It was the most amount of less lethals I've seen used in a single day protest." But why? Why this sudden war on journalists? Trump himself gave us the answer. If Governor Gavin Newsom of California and Mayor Karen Bass of Los Angeles can't do their jobs, which everyone knows they can't, then the federal government will step in and solve the problem. Riots and looters, the way it should be solved. Ah yes, the classic authoritarian playbook. Create a crisis, deploy overwhelming force, then attack anyone who dares document your overreach. And when 700 Marines and thousands of National Guard troops descend on American streets, not at the request of the state governor, but against his explicit wishes, you better believe they don't want cameras rolling.
California Governor Gavin Newsom said of that deployment, quote, "The Secretary of Defense is illegally deploying them onto American streets so Trump can have a talking point at his parade this weekend. It's a blatant abuse of power. We will sue to stop this."
But here's where it gets even more insidious. This wasn't just about Los Angeles. This was about sending a message to every journalist in America. Fall in line or face consequences. Case in point, Terry Moran, a veteran ABC News correspondent with decades of experience. His crime? A late-night tweet calling Trump and Stephen Miller world-class haters. Was it unprofessional? Maybe. Was it wrong? Absolutely fucking not. This is America. And Miller is a world-class hater. He is pathetic. That's not just an opinion, that is observable fact based on his policies and rhetoric.
You said ABC is going to take action. What do you expect that action to be?
Well, we'll have to see. I mean, hopefully this journalist will either be suspended or terminated. We have reached out to ABC. They have said they will be taking action, so we will see what they do.
Within hours, ABC suspended Morgan. The message was clear. Criticize the administration, lose your job. This is what press freedom organisations call the chilling effect, when journalists self-censor not because they're wrong, but because they're afraid. Catherine Jacobson from the Committee to Protect Journalists put it bluntly, press freedom is no longer a given in the United States. No longer a given. In the United States of America, the country that literally put freedom of the press in the First Amendment.
Hopefully this journalist will either be suspended or terminated.
Do you want to know how democracies die? This is how. Not with jackboots and firing squads, but with rubber bullets and pink slips. With dispersal orders and NDAs. With journalists bleeding in the streets while their colleagues are too terrified to report it. The First Amendment Coalition, along with 27 other organisations, sent a letter to DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, stating that federal officers appear to have deliberately targeted journalists who were doing nothing more than their job covering the news. Deliberately targeting journalists. And what was this massive threat that required Marines on American streets? What justified shooting journalists and deploying military forces against the explicit wishes of the state officials? Immigration protests, people exercising their First Amendment rights to protest ICE raids. That simple. They don't like the abductions. They don't like the masked military presence turning up and stealing people from the streets. No trials. They're just gone, disappeared, like it's the Soviet fucking Union. But that's the beauty of manufacturing a crisis, isn't it? You create the chaos, then use it to justify the crackdown. Classic fascism 101. But the whole world is watching, and we're horrified. The US has fallen to 57th place on the World Press Freedom Index, the lowest ranking since the index began. The nation is now classified as problematic for press freedom. Problematic, like some tin pot dictatorship instead of the supposed leader of the free world. The Committee to Protect Journalists reported a significant increase in the number of newsrooms seeking safety advice after Trump's election. Journalists in America are now getting the same safety training as war correspondents. Because that is what this is, a war. A war on truth, a war on accountability, a war on anyone who dares shine a light on what's really happening. Ryan Memmer shot with pepper balls by Homeland Security agents. Her crime? Holding a camera. Sean Beckner-Mitchell hit in the head with a tear gas canister that exploded in his face. His crime? Freelance reporting. 2 CNN security personnel arrested and detained. Their crime? Protecting journalists. This isn't collateral damage. This is targeted suppression of the free press. Under California law, journalists have specific protections that limit when they can be subject to dispersal orders, but those protections were completely ignored. The First Amendment protects the right to record law enforcement officers engaging in the exercising of their official duties in public places. But when has the law ever stopped fascists? And how did the Trump administration respond to international condemnation? Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt called criticism of their actions unhinged and unacceptable.
This is unacceptable and unhinged rhetoric.
Unhinged. That's what they call pointing out documented attacks on journalists. That's what they call defending the First Amendment.
Unacceptable and unhinged.
Meanwhile, Stephen Miller, the architect of this entire authoritarian nightmare, had the audacity to claim that journalists criticizing him proved the corporate press in America were radicals adopting a journalist's pose. Radicals for reporting facts, for documenting police violence, for doing their damn job. But here's what truly terrifies me. It worked. Newsrooms across the country are now thinking twice before sending reporters to cover protests. Journalists are questioning whether that story is worth a rubber bullet to the face. Editors are wondering if criticizing the administration means losing their careers. The chilling effect isn't coming, it is here, right now. This is how it happens, folks. Not all at once, but inch by inch. A detained journalist here, a rubber bullet there, a suspension today, a prosecution tomorrow. They're not just attacking journalists, they're attacking everyone's right to see what governments do in their name. Everyone's right to hold power accountable. Because make no mistake, when they shoot journalists, they're shooting at democracy itself. June 2025 will go down in history as the month America officially declared war on its own free press. The month Marines were deployed not to protect Americans, but to intimidate them. The month shooting journalists became standard operating procedure. The only question now is, what will be done about it? Because if this is left to stand, if the US normalizes attacking journalists, if Trump is allowed to turn American streets into war zones and silence the truth with rubber bullets and riot shields, then maybe the US deserves the authoritarian hellscape that they're slowly walking into. The First Amendment isn't just words on parchment, it's a promise that in America, the truth matters more than power. They are breaking this promise, and they're doing it right in front of everyone's eyes. The war on truth has well and truly begun. Pick a side, because neutrality in the face of fascism isn't journalism, it's collaboration. Just before I sign off, if you appreciate the videos that I make, the journalism that I bring to you, the exposure on the stories that I have on this channel, then please consider supporting me on Patreon. I know how to expand my team. I just need finance to do it. Help me fight against this authoritarian regime. Because with the Trump administration having this effect on journalists, on CNN, on these really big brands, with them having this capacity, this ability to silence critics, this is getting bad. This is getting very, very bad. If you want to empower someone that cannot be silenced so easy, I'm here. I know how to expand the business. I know how to give you more videos, how to cover more of these stories. So please do check that out if that's something that you would appreciate. Thanks.